Trading chirps in the sin bin. Hashtag yes homo. Howdy hole, and welcome to Hole Chat, a boy love and girl love podcast that's no stranger to handling balls. Sports balls. With me today are two people with a shared love of contact sports and men touching tips, Keelz and Lemon. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back. This time the tables have been turned.
Yeah, I'm excited though.
Yeah, last time it was ruining Keely by both of us screaming at her, and this time we're both going to scream at you.
Sick, I love
Yep.
it. All right, let's get after it.
Okay. So I brought you on because obviously hockey
Yes.
fan, and we're going to talk about hockey a lot.
Yep.
And I figured that your expertise would be useful to doing a hockey because Keels knows some hockey. I played tennis in school, and then you are fully in the Northeast hockey
culture.
Yeah.
Cul-de-sac culture. Yeah.
Yeah, we're one of the OG six, so
Yeah.
we're not doing too hot. The Bruins have been awful. Can I just say last year we had almost a perfect season, and then they got to the cup playoffs and they just ate shit and just petered right off in the first round, and they got knocked. And I was like, oh, this is how it's gonna go. And then this season they just went back to true Bruins form where they just performed terribly the whole time. Didn't make the cut. Didn't make the playoffs at all.
Damn.
Traded away all the good players. Picked up some.
Okay.
It's not. It's being a Bruins fan. And now one of our cup winning players, the rat himself, Brad Marchand, went to the Florida Panthers, who are in the current finals, and I hate those motherfuckers, and I just go Oilers. I can't deal with it. I'm giving my Oilers energy into the universe right now because I just can't watch the Kachucks win another cup. I just can't do it. That is my official position as the hockey guest on the pod. Let's go Oilers.
Let's go Oilers.
And now that I've said that, they're probably gonna lose because they're already down 2-0, and I can't think about it.
Ugh.
This is a good distraction. Thank you.
If we talk about enough gay hockey, maybe that'll turn it around.
Maybe it'll help the hole in my heart.
Well, I brought on a hockey nerd because we're going to chat about Check Please today. Check Please is a comic started in 2013 by Ngozi Ukazu and follows a young man as he vlogs about life, love, hockey, and pies throughout his college career. It's also a multi-award winner, New York Times bestseller, and a transmedia story that doesn't incite coating yourself in gray grease paint. You're giving me a look, Keelz, and I understand why, but transmedia refers to the way that Check Please is both online and in physical form, and has a Twitter, and it's got GIFs featured in it and stuff like that. It's using various different types of media. And the other comic that everyone knows that does that, Homestuck.
Okay. My bigger question was gray grease paint.
I don't think you remember all of the people freaking out about, oh, we know Homestuckers came to the con because there's just gray smears left where their bodies were.
On the furniture, because they would paint their bodies and not seal it.
On the furniture, on the floors of convention halls, up against the walls, on other people's costumes. Yeah.
Hotels' bathrooms.
Yeah, no, sorry. It's been a while since I thought about it.
I never forget.
Yeah.
I am going to preface that this is obviously a comic from 2013, so it feels like 2013. Not in a cringy way, but in a, this is a time capsule. This is pure 2013. That time on Tumblr, you can feel the kind of energy of
on that era.
Yeah, it's very much of that era. And so it does feel like stepping back in time a little bit at this point, because obviously 2013 to now, it's been over,
Oh my
it's
god.
been 12 years
Ugh.
since this was, put out into the world. And so the author Ngozi, she's very much of the culture. She posted this initially on Tumblr. That's where this
Oh.
started out on. So
Mhm.
you can see the bits of that, and I think at certain points you'll be able to tell, like, oh, I see how this influenced other things. This is the ground zero for certain things on Tumblr. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
well, okay. Let us dive on in and get this over with, I guess. Sorry, not get it over with. Let's just do it.
Let's just
Sorry.
get started.
Yeah. Our story follows Eric Richard Bittle, or Biddy, a pie aficionado, hockey player, and freshman at Samwell University. And I'm going to tell you now, Biddy has like 2 or 3 other nicknames. Biddy's one of them. He gets called Bittle. He gets called Bits. His mom calls him Dicky. We're just going to use Biddy most of the time instead of switching
Mhm.
between all of them because that's going to be crazy having people listen to this. So, the comic opens with Biddy filming his very first vlog in his very first college dorm, a week and a half before school starts. He's excited to be there and feels lucky to have the opportunity to meet the other members of Samwell's hockey team and to score some ice time. So he does what any Southern pie-obsessed boy would do and bakes a pecan pie as a polite introduction to the rest of the team.
Yeah. Because I think Biddy's like from Georgia.
He's from Madison, Georgia. And so this is how he believes that he should greet his hockey team, which, to be fair, as a Southerner, I do think about bringing baked goods to stuff.
That's a very Southern thing to do. I'm meeting new people. I'm gonna go bring you some cookies or a pie or a cake.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what we do.
So
Mm-hmm.
this is a cultural difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think when we have housewarming parties, we don't always think about bringing gifts. We think about bringing food. Somebody dies, we bring food. If your cat had to get surgery, we bring food. Like, bringing food's just the thing that you do, and normally it's a sweet, unless we know you need something heartier and it's a bigger disaster, and then we bring you like a casserole or something.
Yeah, honestly, if you're coming over for anything, you
But, like,
bring
that's
food.
not the cultural difference. It's more if I am going to like sports, I'm not unless I'm like, we're on snack duty, bring some Capri Sun and like some clementines. I'm not gonna bring like a whole pie, be like, let's go. Let's get on the ice after we eat
No,
this.
down
Yeah.
here the food competition is as intense as the sports competition.
Ooh,
I have
fascinating.
brought cookies to the tennis meet.
Really?
Yeah, the
Mhm.
football parties are very much like who's bringing the food, and are we also going to have like a barbecue competition
Mhm.
going at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that's very normal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The football moms, this is kind of their job. Is to then compete with each other over who brought the best snacks, who brought the best, meal to whatever, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. So, and then maybe that's what it is. Is like
Yeah.
football is like a religion here, and that
Mhm.
might be
Yeah, like
why
I
that's
played
such a big
basketball
deal.
and
But
softball, and we
Yeah.
were like lucky if we got like sun chips and a Capri Sun. We're like, this fucking rocks. I know.
That is so unheard of.
what the
I know.
hell?
That is so unheard of here.
To be fair, I was like 8.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, no, still, even when you're 8, like somebody brought like brownies to the
Yeah,
meet.
no.
Got a hot dog? Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
hot
We're getting
dogs and
soft serve at Friendlies after the
Yeah.
fucking softball game where I got drilled in the squash with
Yeah.
a ball. This rules. Yeah.
So he bakes his pie to introduce himself to the rest of the team. And it's a team that is made up of unhygienic animals who eat processed meat and dirt 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So the only thing that he seems to have in common with his new teammates is hockey and a love of pie. Though even that love seems to sharply diverge at some point. Because he specifies that, like, oh yeah, I have pictures, stupid. Sorry. Yeah. So this is this is like the very first page that she ever drew. So the style changes like pretty drastically
Mhm.
within another few panels or whatever. But it's like,
I was gonna say that's a twink.
yeah, oh, he
he
still
stays a twink.
is a twink, but
Oh.
like, you know how every basketball team has that one like short dude? He's kind of like that.
Yeah. I had one on my team.
Yes.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
he's that type, but for
I was
hockey.
always the short player in sports.
Yeah, so here's him being like, the kitchens are open, so I made a pie. I'm gonna go to the team. This is also
Does he-
showing off like how he used to be a figure skater as well.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, he was
Mhm.
a figure skater first before hockey.
And so after he meets the team, he comes back to finish up his vlog, and he's like, they did unholy things to that pie. Like, absolutely disgusting things to that pie.
Are we talking like American Pie levels or like?
I think they just ate it so voraciously he didn't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
Because anytime we see the hockey players eating his pies, it's kind of barbaric.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, because they basically eat trash 90% of the time, and then somebody brings in a baked good. Yeah, they're gonna go crazy. So, needless to say, it takes a bit for him to warm up to his peers. Everyone seems perfectly nice in theory, probably, but they have the unique ability to squeeze a metric fuck ton of profanity into the shortest sentences. And they're quite creative about it, too. A compliment can somehow include the words dick-faced cockhole, and discussions of getting pussy seem to be entirely appropriate for mixed company.
That's chirping, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, you're already there.
Yeah, it's very cool. They talk about chirping and flow and all that stuff in
You've
here.
probably seen memes of it, but there's this show called Letterkenny.
Oh, yeah.
That, like, takes place in, like, fuck all Ontario. And they have a hockey team on there. They did a spin-off called Shoresy, who's, like, one of the guys on the hockey team in, like, Letterkenny and the main canon. And it's just Chirp City all the time.
Yeah.
And it's genuinely so funny. Like, I was actually watching montage clips earlier because I was prepping myself for this.
It's really cool because, like, you could buy, like, merch from Ngozi, and, like, so, like, the Chirp book was, like, one of the things you could buy. And
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, it's, like, Twitter chirps that they did to each other and, like, some extra art and little stories. It was very fun.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
There is also a glossary. In one of the books, I believe there's a glossary explaining what some of the terminology means.
Yeah, in the first book, they explain everything, like all the lingo.
And there's two characters, Ransom and Holster, that will kind of break away and then give you a little rundown of certain words that you may not be super familiar with and explain like where they came from, kind of. There's also like two characters that are Canadian scientists that are in the background helping to prove certain things about hockey. Like, oh, hockey butt is a manifestation of blah, blah, blah. It's total bullshit, but it's still getting the point across for people who are not hockey aficionados.
There's like this one chirp from the main series for Letterkenny, and he's like, he said something like, "Your lives are so sad, I get a charity tax break just for hanging out with you." And I'm like, this is great. More of this. Like, I need more chirping. Like, it's like just so brutal.
Yeah.
It's just so fun.
Your chirps are very fun in here.
And it's just, that's like, anytime you hear a hot mic on a game, like replay or something that they managed to get, it's just all chirp. It's so good. And it really is like that too.
Yeah. No, fucking hockey's great. But there's a character in here who I think he is just the embodiment of what hockey is a little bit. He chirps all the fucking time, and his nickname is Shitty.
We're gonna get to Shitty in a second.
I love Shitty. I just had to mention him because he's my favorite, and he's like, I think he's the best chirper out of the bunch.
Yeah, let me see, because I know this is a older clip of Biddy, and then this is Shitty.
Yeah, you can even read how this dude talks.
Yeah, because he's the one who says dick-faced cockhole.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
And just immediately also, like, putting down the South, like, hey, it's so great you're not like this fucking dickhole Southern boy. And it's like, oh my god, dude. He's so funny.
So that's Shitty, and then this is Holster and Ransom. And these are the two that are like, oh, we can just talk about pussy, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, they're your defense team.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they're your demon.
They're also like super best friends to a point that's a little concerning.
Yeah, they're so close that their families do like family reunions, barbecues together. Like, they're like, oh, you're coming to our family reunion for the summer, and you're going to come to our family reunion at this time. Like, they are all up in each other's business. It's very fun.
Yeah, Holster gets invited to the cookout.
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
And then here's Jack, and that's the captain of the team, and we will get into him.
Yeah, Jack, the son of an NHL player who's a legend, you know.
I will get into all of that.
Yeah, but like, I just feel like I need to introduce that now because he's got that severe, like, hockey is life look on about him already, you know?
Yeah, you can't see me, but I'm making the jerk off motion with my hand.
So Shitty, Holster, and Ransom are obviously chirping their asses off. But then there's Jack, the captain of the team, and a man who seems to have it out for Biddy from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the first things he says to Biddy is, like, at team breakfast is, you need to eat more protein.
Because he's so small.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a wall, and Biddy is just itty bitty.
Yeah.
But no hi, no hello, just eat more protein.
Yeah. It's like, why are you even here? Fucking figure it out.
Still, Biddy knows he can handle this via perseverance and a ton of baking. He cannot, however, bake his way through a little functional problem of his. He's not bad at hockey. He was the captain of his high school's co-ed hockey club and has been ice dancing for a hot minute, but he's pretty much incapable of giving or receiving checks.
Oh.
Like the last time he was forcibly tackled was during Pee Wee football, and he bawled his little eyes out and quit. So varsity college hockey should be interesting.
Yeah, and like you're very much at the beginning, like, why are you in hockey if you can't handle a check? What is happening?
Because they're gonna know, they're gonna smell that blood in the water, and they're gonna target the fuck out of you. So either you learn or you get out.
Yeah, they all know.
So even his team notices very quickly, like, oh, because he collapses to the floor if he feels like he's about to get checked. He's that scared.
Yeah.
And so there's a scene where it's asked, like, well, how did he even get in? And the coach is like, well, he said in a very convincing video. And so he has this, like, Elle Woods ass recruitment video where he shows that he is skating around and is, like, very, very fast on the ice and is good at handling the puck and stuff like that. And then immediately after he's showing that off, it's just all pictures of his ice skating.
Oh my god.
And he's doing all these extra flips and shit. And they're like, he's good on the ice.
Yeah.
Put him on the team.
They really appreciate his speed because he is very, very fast. And since he doesn't want to get checked, he's good at like zipping and dodging. It's definitely interesting reading the comic because at first, like, I personally at first was very annoyed with Biddy. Like, why are you here? You cannot handle being checked. And then you get to a point where you're like, oh, this is PTSD level. Like, something's wrong.
Oh.
Yeah.
I will tell you privately. I'm not going to...
You get, like, a concussion or something?
I'll tell you privately, but, like, we can't spoil it for the comic.
We'll tell you in a second. So be patient with me, but I will tell you.
Well, you
I'll
can
answer
tell
your
her
questions
now,
about
and we'll just, like, cut it.
Hey, I have
What?
a script.
So?
Hey.
So?
Whatever, okay. Biddy's first few weeks are rocky, to say the least. For everyone, like gaining access to the oven and the hockey house, the house is what they call it. It's a frat house.
Yeah.
But they call it the house, whatever.
Dear.
HAUS.
Yes. For everyone, there's a loss, like getting regularly chewed out by Jack, specifically.
Yeah, Jack is like, he's hard. He's almost a buzzkill at times. But like, hockey is so important to him, and you can just tell.
Towards the end of preseason, he's honestly one step closer to the edge and considering quitting hockey altogether. Not because of his coaches. Their dream compared to his old skating coach, who was definitely a Russian woman who probably survived the fall of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, many such cases.
Yeah.
But he's having issues because of his captain, Jack. But quitting also means giving up his scholarship to a very expensive liberal arts college with an excellent reputation for supporting queer students. So, shit's hard, and being 18 is a nightmare. Yeah, this is when color starts getting added, and things are starting to look a little bit more tight. I will say she definitely didn't plan on making this comic. She whoops herself, as you do. And then, yeah, this is Biddy about to get checked.
And not being able to handle it.
And this is the aftermath. It's just on the floor.
He'll get up.
He's trying his best. Oh, and this is his first time going to the house, and he's like, oh, wow, there's a kitchen in here. I wonder what ingredients they have, and then opens up just endless sriracha. Because college boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his first time getting introduced to the house, he's just like, oops, I made a pie somehow. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, like, he shocked them because they left him alone for like 5 minutes or something like that, and he'd already made a pie.
So there's like, that's definitely a running gag through this, is that he can just pull baked goods out of his ass, basically.
Yeah.
But honestly, We know people like this. One of her friends would just make bakery level, like nice bakery with decorations and like making
God.
things out of sugar and shit like that. She would do that just for funsies on a weekend with her mom, like, oh, it's Santa's birthday, I made it.
Yeah, holy shit. Amazing. Amazing level of stuff.
Or she made me a hamburger cake with Mountain Dew jelly on the inside and was just like, here you go.
Hello?
Whatever.
You must have been so stoked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I commissioned her to make that cake for my wifey, and it was fantastic. It was awesome.
People down here are insane, honestly.
Honestly, fantastically insane.
Yeah, and then obviously Jack chewing Biddy out, which is what he spends a lot of the beginning of this comic doing.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, his teammates have his back and are aware of how uncomfy it is to get torn a new asshole, especially as a freshman. Shitty, Ransom, and Holster assure him that Jack's just especially bitchy during the preseason and will return to regular bitch levels once they get some actual games under their belt. And who
Oh
wouldn't
my
be
God.
bitchy when their father is a certifiable hockey god? Bad Bob Zimmerman, which is the hockiest name that ever hockeyed.
Yeah. Just what a hockey name.
This would be equally impressive and informative if Biddy had any goddamn idea who that is.
I know. Biddy kind of feels like. What's that movie about the baseball? He kind of feels like the kid from Sandlot. He's like, who's Baby Ruthie? He has no idea who these people are. They're just like pissing themselves like, Biddy, you have to know the god of hockey. We have to educate you right now. It's so funny.
He later comes to understand that Bad Bob is essentially the Beyoncé of hockey. A title that is fitting considering he's helped win the Stanley Cup on more than one occasion. Jack is a descendant of hockey royalty and is the only person to have the distinct honor of shitting in the Stanley Cup. Twice. Do I have a picture of the fucked up baby, actually?
Yeah, you should if you don't. There it
Yeah,
is.
this fucked up baby. This is Jack as a baby.
Yeah,
Fucked up
this is
baby.
Jack as a
Oh,
baby,
God.
and he like let baby Jack shit in the Stanley Cup.
2 different occasions he shat in the Stanley Cup.
I mean, probably not the only one who's ever pooped in the cup, but
Truthfully, yeah, the stories I've heard about people getting the Stanley Cup and going buck wild with it, and I'm like, no other sport lets
Oh,
you
yeah.
just take the cup and go fuck off with it.
yeah, they go on tour with that shit.
Yeah.
They go on tour with it.
Yeah. I've seen people make drinks in it, and I'm always like, I hope y'all clean it every time before you make a
Yes.
drink. I know they don't, but I'm pretending they do.
Well, you gotta season it
No,
You
it's
gotta
my
season it.
fantasy. Please clean it.
like a cast iron pan.
Ugh.
Oh, gross.
Ugh.
That's gross.
Every
All right.
season, and you just get a little bit more.
It's another layer of crust.
Why is it so spicy this time? Don't worry about it.
It's at this point that the comic takes a short stylistic turn and really cements that it's more than just a fun hockey flavored romp. The specifics of Jack's lore are delivered like a fairy tale, tying into the whole hockey royalty thing. He was, indeed, a little hockey prince, growing with the guidance of his hockey king of a dad. But with great expectations comes even greater anxiety. Poor kid was barely sleeping due to the pressure. The king and queen got him on anxiety meds, which helped, but he kept taking more and more, chasing the goal of taking on his father's mantle. Until he, whoops himself and ended up in rehab.
Oh.
Yeah.
Since getting his shit right, Jack journeyed to the US to attempt to return to his former greatness, to achieve the goal that everyone believes is now out of his reach. So he's got problems, and Biddy is quickly becoming one of them.
So he's got a reputation. So like people actively in the news, even though he's doing better, will shit on him and be like, "Oh, he'll never live up to his dad because his dad didn't go to rehab." Like it's just
They allude to it more in the comic, and then the extras they actually tell you specifically. But he did OD on his anxiety medication because he was both doing that and then got into alcohol at a young age as well because he was on his way to being drafted into the NHL as a young person, make sure he out of high school. And so he fucked himself.
Oh, this kind of hits too close.
Yeah.
It happens unfortunately, very frequently with a lot of contact sports where that is
Yeah.
a problem. But yeah, this definitely hits close to home.
Yeah, it's very realistic. Like Ngozi touched on something that's so real. Because my dad taught football, and my uncle teaches basketball, like on a more professional level. And you see these tragedies a lot when you're a coach happen to kids.
Yeah.
And it's very tragic. It's
Especially
very, like,
football.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially
'Cause
football.
it's like CTE City.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
this is the point too where, like, when the style shifted over and she was explaining how Jack got to where he was going, because a lot of this is also staged like very well, like
Mhm.
visually.
Yeah.
So when it got to this point, that's when I was like, oh shit, yeah, now I gotta keep reading this, because up until then I was like, oh, it's fun and it's interesting and
Yeah.
you're still connected and like engaged. But then I thought, oh, I'm gonna get grabbed by the heartstrings at some point. You're
Yeah.
gonna shove this down my throat and be like, hey, do you feel something?
Yeah.
Correct.
The comic really finds its momentum when we get into Jack's story, because Jack's story is so relatable to anyone who has been in any level of sports. You hear
Yeah.
about this stuff if you've done sports beyond grade school, you know?
Mhm.
Like if you're in middle
Yeah.
school and high school, you start to hear about this and you start
Mhm.
to see the pressures.
Mhm.
So this was just like, oh man, this is a good subject to get into. And so this is like, I think, what really caught everyone, you know, by the balls and made them pay attention.
Yeah. I was gonna say by the pussy, and then I thought, no, that phrase is ruined for me, unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah.
Balls only now.
Yeah.
And I feel like too, like another problem that comes from like middle and high school sports transitioning into college level is that like a lot of these kids are big fish in little ponds, and
Yes.
then they all get released into the same larger pond, and they go,
Yes.
oh shit, I
Yeah.
am not as good as I thought I was.
100%.
And it causes like a whole existential crisis for a lot of these people.
Every time.
And they
Yeah.
just burn out because they just like their whole entire universe is like flipped upside down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they weren't actually as good as they thought they were.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I would say that's even like Jack's issue a little bit, is that like he's already got all this pressure, but then you get released into the big pond and you're not the best. And so it's just like, oh shit, but I have to be. So Jack's personal struggle is like really fun to look at.
Fun's a word.
Well, like I like, look, we gotta admit, Jack's an asshole at the beginning. So I like when you get the asshole character, and they actually have like a lot of reasons to be the asshole character. He's not just an asshole because he's like some rich sports kid. He's an asshole because he is under so much pressure. And there's a third secret thing that Chuck is not telling you about Jack that happened to him, and also happened to him while he OD'd, that caused some of this extra problems. So there's this third secret thing that just like really, it makes you feel for Jack. You're like, yeah, he had it really hard and really rough.
First game of the year arrives, and Biddy got a goddamn assist.
Good for him.
It's insane he even got ice time as a frosh, but to help score in the first game of the season is sick as hell. And he didn't get checked, thank God. All of his reservations about sticking it out are gone. He fucking loves hockey. And he also loves hugs because, you know, how else do you get celebrated on the ice except for getting smushed in between all of your teammates?
Where they crash into you and he's just like, oh, this is awesome.
And the cherry on top, the look on Jack's face when he, Eric Richard Bittle, was helpful to the team.
Yeah, because Jack was like kind of salty about it, wasn't he?
He had this look on his face like, I can't believe it. Like, just disbelief that seems tinged with a little bit of, like,
Fuck
being
you.
pissed off. Yeah, not quite fuck you, but just like, hey.
Who do you think you are?
So now he's excited about hockey. And this is also, again, when the style is, like, really starting to tighten up and it's getting more legitimate. And then, of course...
Yeah, they're having him do a keg stand.
Because what?
Keg, go.
Yeah.
That's often what they're like, every party. They're like, every party, it's for the Stanley Cup. And I'm like, guys, shut up.
We gotta get you primed for the Stanley Cup.
God.
The rest of the team celebrates him all the way from the ice to the first kegster of the year.
Yeah, that's college.
Per Shitty, it's tradition for the frog that gets the first score of the season is the first to do a keg stand. Which sounds terrible, to be honest, but also signifies Biddy's acceptance into the team. Things are finally gelling, and everyone's accepting him. Hell fucking yeah. Jack is also beginning to accept him, which is bad, actually, since the motherfucker works harder than God and expects his team to do the same.
So if he likes you, that's almost worse. Because he's like, oh, cool, you're going to get up with me at 4 a.m. and we're going to go skate.
Yeah, so for Biddy, that means 4 a.m. checking clinics, where Jack checks him repeatedly until he stops collapsing to the ice.
Attaboy.
Very good captaining, honestly, but also hellacious.
Yeah.
It's like that movie Dodgeball. It's like, you can dodge the wrench, you can dodge the ball.
Yeah.
And he's like,
it's so
"Let's
funny
go."
because, like, you can see the moment Biddy regrets Jack being nice to him, because then he's like, oh no, now you're actually making me work hard.
And so that's what you even see here is like giving good advice, really trying to coach him, but also don't make me be up at this ungodly hour. Nevertheless, all the extra work pays off. By family weekend, two things are true. Biddy's become less fearful on the ice, and his relationship with Jack has improved significantly. Both just in time so he can show off to his mother just how far he's come and how well he's fitting in with his peers. And then there's this little moment too where he overhears Jack speaking in French on the phone, because I also have to say he's not just a hockey player, he's French Canadian.
Oh, of course he is.
Straight from Montreal.
Yeah, of course he is.
He's speaking in French with his dad on the phone, and from the little bit of French that's there, it's obvious, like, you can tell from his side that his dad is concerned about something, probably concerned about the whole, my kid did almost die several years ago from getting
pressure.
from all the pressure. And so he's talking to his dad and he seems kind of disappointed afterwards. He's got a little sad face on. And so Biddy actually comes to check in on him and be like, hey, are you good? Do you have pregame jitters? And kind of yaps at him for a little bit. And so there's this nice, sweet moment right before their game. And it's like, okay, this is progress. Y'all are learning to understand each other on the same level, like on a human level, and not just as like teammates and stuff. So it's very nice. They have a little fist bump about it.
Yeah. Like, this is where Jack kind of actually, I think, turns around and sees Biddy as like a person and not just like a teammate who could screw him over.
So Biddy's doing so well, in fact, that he scores the winning point at Samwell versus Yale, right in front of his teammates, his mom, God, Jesus, and King of the Rink, Bad Bob Zimmerman.
Oh.
What a confidence booster for our tiny little pro tag. And so I think I have that too. Yeah. So here he's trying to figure shit out, just his little like yoink of the puck, and then realizing, oh, I've got to do something.
Yeah.
And he gets it, and everyone's excited. So Holster and Ransom and Shitty are excited, and Jack looks like he's been shot.
Yeah. Just like that puck down the middle. Zing, let's go.
And I love how she drew everybody in the background losing their minds, because that's also what I seem to know about hockey games.
Yeah,
that's
going
real.
way too hard as a fan. So after the match, Biddy's still in shock, but his mom's swelling with pride. She's already taken no less than 3 million pictures of him today, but this new development warrants a few more. And someone special just happens to offer his services. God King of Hockey himself, Bad Bob, comes upon the Bittles to offer his congratulations and meet the game's champion face to face. Biddy's mom can't fight a blush because dude was hot as hell when she was younger, and he's still hot at their business. But Southern politeness always wins out over shock, awe, or respectful ogling, so she doesn't embarrass herself. Mr. Bob, King of Hockey, is a surprisingly normal dude and a dad, and compliments Biddy, not holding back a surprise that such a little guy could have that big of an impact. Jack is there too, of course, but his body language just screams upset, even though he's also being polite enough. It's a little Ariana Grande line where it says like arms crossed with the attitude, lips pouted, and that is exactly
That's
what
Jack.
it looks like, just kind of trying to not throw a tantrum, but feels like he's throwing a tantrum. Truthfully, Bob, emissary of hockey, doesn't say anything particularly out of pocket, and is even suggesting a Biddy Jack team up, but Jack still fucks off early, using showering as an excuse. He is very obviously big bothered.
Yeah.
Later, when Biddy tries to catch up to Jack and, do the good teammate thing and thank him for all his help, Jack interrupts and calls his game-winning shot lucky. Minecraft oof noises in stereo.
Yeah. Like, it's a very tense moment. It sucks because there's all this, like, you could just tell Jack's uncomfortable. While Jack's dad, he's honestly seeing the bigger picture, and he keeps like pointing out, he's like, Biddy's good to have on your team to help you, Jack. Like, he can get into the small spaces, can assist you and make you shine. But Jack is like, I think it's a little bit more that he's pissed that his dad's attention was stolen, because I think he's still trying to prove to his parents he's all right. But it's tense.
Yeah, and so poor little Bits gets left in this scene where it's completely dark. He's backlit by street lamps or whatever, and he looks super upset. So the staging of this is beautiful in a lot of different scenes, especially this one. I didn't take the whole thing, but you get the feeling like, oh, this is kind of soul crushing. You just had the best game of your life, basically, and somebody ruined it.
Yeah.
Good
And
for
it was
you.
your captain that ruined it.
Yeah,
your
specifically.
captain.
Yeah.
It's like best night of your life, worst night of his.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. But time keeps chugging along, even if you have an emotional ouchie. Soon enough, the first semester is nearing its end, and the annual winter screw is upon them. And time is running out to secure a date for such an auspicious occasion. Something Holster and Ransom are more than aware of, and have taken it upon themselves to find eligible women for every teammate they can, including Jack, the pickiest man alive. And so, as they, Shitty, Jack, Ransom, and Holster, make their way to team breakfast, all eyes turn to Biddy, the upperclassman looking expectantly as they ask what his type is. One teeny tiny eensy-weensy problem. Biddy's very gay. Like, boots the house down sleigh kind of gay, with a side of Southern charm. And despite his intention to attend Samwell and live his life openly for the first time, he kind of sort of forgot to tell his team, the men he spends 75% of his time with, that he's into dudes.
Yes.
Biddy comes up with a terrible excuse, something about like baking a pie in the library, and books it, leaving his teammates to ponder just what the heck is going on.
Yeah, because what's kind of working for Biddy is he's Southern. So any things that could maybe come off as like gay dialogue is kind of buried under the fact that he's Southern, and hospitality is kind of what they're known for. So they're missing all the clues that he is gay, even though there are plenty of them. They're just like, oh, it's because he's from the South. You know, a lot of these boys are from like New York or Canada. And so they're just like, oh, this just must be a Southern thing.
And us as Southerners were like, could you turn it down, Mr. Sparkles?
Yeah.
This is the expectant look of like, hey, we're going to help you out, bro. But in that moment, it feels like, oh, I'm about to get eaten by lions kind of thing.
Here's Biddy, my type, men.
And then fucking Holster and Ransom, they share the same brain cells.
Yeah.
And so they're just like, oh, well, he likes baking. And he likes baking a lot. So he wants a girl who bakes. And at least Jack and Shitty are like, no, we don't think that's it.
Yeah. Jack and Shitty are more aware. Jack is more aware for one specific reason. And Shitty is the surprising ally of the comic. Like, not too surprising because of what he says in one of his introductions. But Shitty is also like allied to the extreme. Like, allied to almost uncomfortable levels. So, like, I even understand a little bit why maybe Biddy didn't want to come out to Shitty, because Shitty is like, I'm gonna support you if you're gay, bro, so fucking hard. That is Shitty's attitude. It's a little too much. So Shitty and Jack, because of their own things, immediately like, we think we know what's going on. And then everyone else is like, he must like baking girls.
Oh my god.
Yes, absolute morons, all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, the only thing in their brains is hockey.
Yeah.
So much of the time.
Yeah.
Biddy does eventually come out to his team, starting with Shitty, whose position as weird team uncle sets him up as the easiest to talk to.
Yes, because Shitty is very much that, like, I have everyone's number. I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna know what's going on. Oh, hey, this is happening to you in school. Let me talk to you about it. He's very much like team dad, team uncle. Like, I'm taking care of everyone.
I have it as uncle specifically because...
Uncle's better because he's also putting them in danger.
Yeah, he's also the one who's going to turn you upside down on the keg every time, you know what I mean? So he's your uncle.
He's the
Yeah.
uncle.
He's the one mixing dangerous drinks in the bathtub.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Those fucking TikToks where they just make, like, pour all the alcohol and juice and soda in the sink.
Yeah,
Mhm,
he's notorious for making that. Like, he has tub juice
Oh,
that he makes at
God.
parties, and he is
Well,
notorious
it's
for
the
it.
mustache gives it away.
Yeah.
Truthfully,
Yeah.
truthfully. Despite Biddy's nervousness and use of index cards, he's able to finally say out loud that he's gay. It is a truly liberating moment, and one that Shitty takes 100% in stride, thanking Bits for trusting him with something so important. They have a nice conversation full of profanity from Shitty about how everyone comes out when they're ready, and despite the broiness of hockey, the team's got Biddy's back forever and always.
Mhm.
Biddy also has a situation of like, well, I was worried about you guys taking this information. And Shitty's like, did you think we were going to beat you up? And there's a pause. And he's like, are you serious? Why the fuck would we do that? No,
Mhm.
we're not barbarians. You're our teammate.
But this does begin something that they hint out through the rest of the story, which is the talk of locker room shit talk and bullying.
Yes.
Because, like, this is the beginning of locker rooms are bad when it comes to, like, picking on you for being queer or for just, like, being small in a sport or anything.
Mhm.
So, this is something that the comic floats back to. It is a main component of the comic, but, like, this is the beginning of, like, no, like, here at Samwell, they're really trying to actually focus on not having shitty locker room talk.
And there's a ton of extras for this because somebody didn't stop drawing, it seems like at any fucking point. And so there is even a extra where I think it's Holster and Ransom make a comment and they're like, "Oh shit, Bits, we didn't mean it that way." And Biddy's like, "That has nothing to do with me being gay. Y'all are so far off the mark." But they don't get like self-conscious about it, but they just start actually thinking, "Okay, we need to be a little more careful."
Yeah, they start being a little over careful at first because,
Mhm.
like, again, it's them having to, like, adjust their view and change their minds about stuff,
Mhm.
which it's very nice because, like, later I would say there's a couple characters who come into the hockey team because new people come in every year. It is a college,
Mhm.
and, like, some of them have to adjust their point of views, and
Mhm.
you'll meet those characters too. And they
Mhm.
do it in I think she introduces them in a very nice way that still makes these characters with bad point of views still well-rounded. Like, they're still people, you can still like them. They have to experience college and learn.
Mm-hmm.
Have to learn the world's bigger than their small scope.
Mm-hmm. Jack, Holster, and Ransom also take Biddy's announcement in stride that that's off screen. And the latter two immediately switch gears into finding him a more suitable male date. Winter Screw sucked, though, regardless, since Biddy's date crashed out and threw up on his shoes.
Hell yeah.
But Jack, surprisingly, was a gentleman and escorted Bits home afterwards, so it wasn't all bad.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, fall semester comes to a close, and we jump forward to spring semester, a semester full of new people and exciting new challenges. On the one hand, Biddy's finally introduced to the team manager, a quirky, hockey-pilled art major named Lardo.
Oh.
She's as broy as the rest of them and has a larger-than-life reputation among Samwell sports, kind of in spite of her small stature.
Yeah, finally someone smaller than Biddy.
Yeah, so she's 5'1" to Biddy's 5'6.5", and she is a little Asian girl, and she has this reputation for like burning the house down essentially at all of their parties. So she has drunken several men like twice her size under the table, and she's also extremely good at beer pong. So she has this huge reputation of being like almost horrifying to the point that you believe based on her stories that she's like a 6'1" white dude, and she's like, nope, tiny art major Asian, sup brah. On the other hand, Biddy's pretty certain that Jack hates him and has been guzzling haterade since the Yell game last semester. But for some ungodly reason, everyone, including the coaches, believe that they are a dream team in the making and want them to work together more frequently. So, Bids gets to start in some games. But really, at what cost?
Yeah, because now there's this awkward tension. Because, like, you get to a point where you're like, oh yeah, Jack, you are aware you fucked up. Because everyone is like, you guys work really well together because they did do all this extra work together. And, like, Jack just kind of fucking ruined it. Y'all ruined your flow. And it's so annoying.
Mm-hmm. Not for nothing, the coaches are 100% correct. The team is more successful with a Biddy-Jack team up, and that becomes most apparent when Samwell makes it to the fucking playoffs. Jack's playing some of the best hockey of his life, and Biddy's got a front row seat as his partner on the ice. The whole team is proud as hell at what they've accomplished, and the Sellies seem to be in this. But, of course, not everyone is as excited for Samwell as they are. Obviously, their competition is less than thrilled. They are a teeny tiny private college after all. But sports analysts are a whole other beast. Specifically, they see Samwell's success as a prime opportunity to disparage Jack's former career at the expense of his current one. Motherfuckers act like he's washed up at like 22, 23 years old and has no chance of ever getting drafted into a good team after all this time, which is just so good for someone with clinical anxiety.
Yeah, like the hazing and the reporting that Jack is getting, like this is like honestly when I started to feel for him as a character because it's like, holy shit, no wonder you need medicine to stay calm because they're on it 24/7, just like pissing on him.
And also, it's like a fucking college team. It's not that deep. Like, it's just not that deep.
Yeah.
So, despite all the mean mugging from, grown adults towards Jack, still, the boys and Lardo push through, supporting each other through and through. They make it fairly far into the playoffs when a tough opponent puts them in a tense position. One of the D-men for the other team is a monster of a player and has already taken out Holster, but Jack's confident that Biddy's speed is enough to make it past the goon. He reassures Biddy very earnestly that he's got his back, which is a testament to how their working relationship is going. Truly very sweet. They do score the point and manage to win the game, but Biddy absolutely gets his shit rocked. All 5'7" of him gets flipped over the goon's body, and he hits the ice hard. He exits the game on his feet, but he's left with a concussion and in order to stay off the ice.
Hey, I called that fast.
Yeah.
And the guilt that his efforts didn't eventually result in winning the championship.
Yeah, because they do a very cool scene about Biddy getting checked. It's very like, it's a very cool.
I think I have a little bit of it because I have them like actually gelling together and doing well on the ice when working together.
And here's him getting insulted.
Oh yeah, this was the point where Jack was getting insulted about.
Yeah, like the news is saying that Jack is a wash up.
And then this is right before he's like, "Don't worry, Biddy, I got you, bro. It's gonna be totally fine."
Spoiler alert! Concussion.
Yeah.
And then I also like the way that it zooms in on Biddy getting checked because he basically, you're seeing it happen in real time, but it's kind of like he's out of his body and talking directly to you, the audience, saying like, "Yeah, here's why I don't like getting checked. I really don't like knowing that it's happening and then being in the moment and knowing that I'm about to get really hurt." Because it's like his mind gets super focused and he can feel it happening. And that's partially the reason why he's like, I hate doing this.
He doesn't like feeling his feet lift the ground and like being tossed in the air. Who would? And it's a bad check that it worries the whole team.
Yeah, so everyone else gets upset because they know he's bad with checks in general, and then he's your little guy, so everyone gets upset. And then Jack actually being very concerned because this is the first time that Jack calls him Biddy. Every time before this, he calls him Bittle. This is the first time that he calls him Biddy, and it's when he feels like, oh no, I basically sent this kid to go get massacred.
Yeah.
It happens.
Because like they have made a big point to stress Biddy's height the entire games because they're like, he's so small but so fast. And it's just like, yeah, he's fast, but that's not always gonna.
This is kind of funny to me because you're like, he's so small, he's so small. He's a little bit taller than average. He's 5'7".
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 5'8", and so I'm like, he's an inch and a half shorter than me, so it's not that hot.
No.
But I recognize too.
Yeah.
All these dudes are like 6 foot on the low end,
and they're specifically talking about his frame more than his height because he's not wide. Like they're like, you don't have broad shoulders or like a bow-legged stance.
Yeah.
So like that's partially what I mean by small is he does not, even with all the padding, make a big frame because they even have a scene of all of them in their padding and in their gear, and then there's Biddy, and you're like, God, one of these looks like a child.
And I'm like thinking about like we had Chara on the Bruins for so long. He's almost 7 feet tall. Like he was fucking massive. And like everybody
That's
looked like a
terrifying.
yeah, he's huge defense, massive dude. So it's like next to that guy, everybody looked tiny.
So, despite not winning the championship, time stops for no one. And with the end of the season, the end of the school year is not far behind. The team hosts their end of the year banquet, an opportunity for the boys to look like nice, well adjusted adults for once. And Biddy, for all his efforts, receives an award for exemplifying team spirit via enthusiasm and devotion. And Jack, by unanimous team vote, is elected captain for his senior year. He delivers a speech that emphasizes his own shortcomings, like being way too focused on his own progress and, I guess, daddy issues, and finishes up with a promise to commit to having each other's backs. And this isn't all just lip service. Jack's really committed to being a better leader, and he kicks it off with an apology to Biddy. While Bits is getting settled into his new room at the house, Jack stops by to apologize for how the whole year went, and especially for putting Biddy in a position to get hurt. Jack also thanks him for the literal vote of confidence in spite of everything.
Yeah, because it's a unanimous team vote, and you can tell Jack is visibly surprised that everyone voted for him.
Because he does at least understand, I was kind of a shitheel for chunks of this last year. But for Biddy, it's all water under the bridge. By now, Biddy understands, and honestly, he's had a blast playing with Jack. And also because, like, Jack's dad constantly checks in on Biddy, like, hey, how's he doing?
Yeah, Jack's
little
dad
guy.
is immediately like, he just adores Biddy because he's like, he sees Biddy's talent and is impressed with him.
So they end the year on good terms. So much so that Jack's order to eat more protein hits more like a chirp and less like criticism. Yeah, so Biddy gets his little award, and everyone looks like real people for 5 seconds instead of like hockey bros.
Little outfits.
And then Jack's shocked, like, oh, I actually got a thing. I didn't prepare a speech. That's crazy. And everyone else is very confident in him because this is also kind of his point of realizing this is kind of a point that emphasizes that he isn't really confident in himself either. Like, he obviously got voted to be captain last time, which proves that he has like good skills at coaching his team members and like encouraging them and stuff, but he's still kind of confused. If he makes even one slip up, he's like, obviously I suck. And it's like, yeah, you've been weird with Biddy all year, but you also did help him get over his fear of being checked a little bit too. So it's like, he didn't completely fuck it up, but he's still not willing to forgive himself for not being perfect, essentially. So, Biddy's in for a lot of new shit in sophomore year, including parenting the new recruits, bribing teachers with pie, and working on his check phobia again. Because he definitely resets and gets spooked again. What can you do?
Yeah, it's definitely a little worse now with full-on kind of like panic attacks.
All of which is important and interesting, but the biggest challenges and changes are in store for Jack. Homeboy finally cools his jets and stays true to the goal he set out from the year before. He stays focused on the team, but more importantly, he allows himself to enjoy the team, which he was doing not at all prior to this.
Yeah, he finally like pulls that stick out of his ass and relaxes. And he really needed to relax.
He gets hazed with the Tadpoles, the new freshman, since he missed out 3 years ago. He starts earnestly chirping his teammates when the opportunity arises.
Yep.
Hell, he even attends a house kegster without being coerced for the first time. Most importantly, he continues his one-on-one sessions with Biddy, but with a lot more compassion this time. And also just spends way more time with Biddy in general, to the point where he's sharing his inner thoughts and worries, especially about his future in hockey. And Jack becomes weirdly overprotective of Biddy too, which probably means something.
You know, winky face.
Yeah. Year 2 just has too much wild shit crammed into 1 year. Jack and Shitty graduate, Jack gets drafted into the NHL, Chowder takes up the mantle of precious baby hockey boy, Biddy develops a big old crush, Lardo has her junior art show, there's the playoffs, and of course the year ends with a bang that has nothing to do with graduation. Oh, and Jack's ex-situationship makes an appearance, but, we'll get to that another time.
Yep.
Okay, we can slide into characters, and then we will start finishing things up. So, of course, we have Eric Richard Bittle, or Biddy, or Bits, or Dicky. And he is an ex-ice dancer turned hockey player and the protagonist of our story. His three loves are baking, Beyoncé, and hockey, which I wish I could turn that into a B so it would be really nice sounding.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a very specific type of Southern gentleman that mixes traditional Southern values and interests with a level of flamboyancy typically found in drag queens. Perseverance should be his middle name, because he's got it in droves and never lets something get him down for long. He's kind to literally everyone, even when they don't really deserve it, but is also no stranger to delivering the harshest of bless your hearts when necessary. Definitely the mom friend, and is probably capable of baking a pie that could cure heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
He spends most of year one angry with Jack's behavior, and then angrier because Jack's hot, but this resolves itself eventually. And then there's Jack Zimmerman, and he doesn't have a nickname for a really long time until he actually joins an NHL team. And then his main nickname is Zimboni, which he is given by a Russian hockey player that they call Tater.
I love Tater.
And Tater is my favorite. And so Zimboni's the only nickname that he gets, but he is a seasoned hockey player and ex-prodigy, and also captain of Samwell Hockey. He's half French-Canadian, which explains some of his behavior, and actively processing his issues, which explains the rest. He's serious to a fault, though he's quite good with the quips, and he can be pretty funny, honestly, it just takes him a bit. By the time that he unclenches, then that's really when he hits his stride. His entire life has been hockey pretty much since he left the womb, and he shows no signs of stopping. He's actually a great captain and is a really reliable friend. He's just also dumb in a very specific way. He is bisexual and a disaster, which explains his inability to parse how he feels about Biddy for too fucking long. There's also a time during year 2 when he enrolls in a photography class and is starting to learn how to take pictures because he's kind of thought of it as a hobby before, but is now actively pursuing it. And his final project is just like pictures of his teammates and pictures of the campus and stuff like that. Nothing too serious, but like 90% of the pictures involve Biddy, and I'm like, girl,
yeah,
really?
Yeah.
You want to have a conversation about it?
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Not at all.
Can't catch me, gay thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Brian Sterling Knight, or Shitty, or Mr. Crappy if you're Biddy's mom, because you can't say shit in the Southern house. Not like that, at least.
Oh.
No one knows his name for like 90% of the comic.
Yeah, his name is a big like lore drop at the very end.
Because like he gets Shitty from like his initials are BS. BS Knight, so Shitty. So it does make sense, but you feel insane learning about it later. He is a fellow Welly hockey teammate, an arbiter of house bylaws, and Jack's bestie. He is pure, concentrated masshole, and it's obvious by the all of him.
Oh.
But as all massholes, he's a great dude underneath it all, and would probably kill a man for his friends and officiate their wedding in the same afternoon.
Well.
Sorry. It's fine. This is your territory, so.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, like, Northern hockey is so different from Southern hockey, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
It's weirdly... Hockey in the South has its issues too, but, like, it's honestly weirdly always been chill.
I was just thinking more of, like, the masshole part. I was like, well...
Yeah. Yeah.
For us, it's always weird, because down here, people will be like, oh, bless your heart, but they're really telling you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
But in the Northeast, it seems like we're going to be assholes to you the whole way, but we are going to take you where you need to go. And we are going to, like, give you a piece of candy before we jet out of here, you stupid cunt. And that's something we're not used to.
So, like, when I moved to California...
Yeah.
It was very different for me because people used to approach me all the time and I hated it. Because here, if someone approaches you, it's like, what do you want? Like, can I help you? Over there, it would be like at Target and this girl like approached me and she was like, do you shop here often? I was like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, that would be weird.
Literally, what do you want from me? That would not happen here. Like, that does not happen in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
If it did, I'd be like, can I fucking help you? Get out of here. But then it's like, if I see somebody struggle bus, then I'm going to be like, what the fuck? Like, really? Well, what do you need?
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's like,
that's the point.
if I say, hey, can I fucking help you while telling a story, that's hyperbole. That's not hyperbole in Massachusetts. That's actually what's said.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's just word for word what you would actually say to someone.
Mhm.
Amazing.
And usually it's like, it's a skeptical, like what do you want? Like, either get after it and tell me, or move on and find somebody else. Because, like, I don't have the time to do this. Like, I need to be somewhere.
Shitty's got that masshole energy, but he is a very, very kind person, honestly. But just the words that come out of his mouth are usually aggressive. He's generally one of the smartest and most well-read characters in the entire comic, and he would have a triple major if that were a possible thing to do. He's the sort of person you could tell your darkest secrets, and he always seems to have good advice. He's also the most hockey bra out of the bunch, and comes equipped with a steel liver. And you do find out in some of the extras that he is a like gender studies major, like that's one of his majors, and I'm like, okay. Gender and women's studies is what he wanted to be interested in. So then it kind of starts to explain like why he's so pro, like, oh yeah, if you're gay, it's not a big deal. If you're a woman, you should be allowed to do whatever. A lot of that respect going on. He eventually becomes besties with Biddy also, and he is totally smitten with Lardo. Holster and Ransom are technically two whole separate hockey players, but are so incredibly codependent that they might as well be one dude with one brotastic brain. They're two besties who form the backbone of all the frat-adjacent choices that the hockey team makes. Both of them seem to be hell-bent on making sure everyone they know has a proper college experience, and put it into practice by throwing parties, hooking folks up, and shouting "swawesome" at opportune moments. Which I am sorry, I'm remiss to not say "swawesome" is what the whole fucking team says, instead of just saying "awesome" or "sick."
Okay.
And it feels so much like people I knew during like 2013, 2017. You can hear it. Like it rattles my brain like, oh my God, this would have been me in college at that age. Terrifying.
This was us in college at that age.
Well, I wasn't in college anymore. I graduated.
That's true, I was.
Yeah. So I wasn't in this, but it was still, But they're also two incredibly smart and capable people, and make an excellent team on and off the ice. They're difficult to hate, even when they're bugging you about romantic entanglements, because their friendship is pretty fucking adorable. Queer platonic has never felt more accurate for a pair of dudes.
They're so ingrained.
So they're not going to be a couple, but I feel like they would marry each other platonically, you know?
That's Riley and Jonesy from Letterkenny.
Yeah. Actually, yes, exactly
that. It's Riley and
I
Jonesy.
think it's so appropriate that they're demon, because you want your demon to be like
obsessed with each other.
Yeah. You need your defense team to be tight. So like it's almost funny when we meet Nursey and Dexter later, who are complete opposites. But they work on ice, just not anywhere else.
Larissa Dwan, or Lardo, is the team manager for Samwell Hockey, and somehow broier than everyone else on the team. She's 5 feet and 1 inch of attitude and art kid, and for some unknown reason, loves hanging out with hockey weirdos. Her reputation precedes her, and that rep is made up of the most insane college party stories. She's capable of drinking men twice her size under the table, but underneath it all is a great friend and a true artist. I empathize with her a lot because some of the things that she's going through, I'm like, yep, that was art school. Huh, that was art school. Yep, the stress of, what are you going to do when you graduate? Girl, don't fucking ask me. I went to art school. Totally understand her situation.
Yeah.
She's weirdly attached to Shitty for God knows what reason.
Why not?
Wow. Mrs. and Mr. Bittle, Suzanne, and Coach are Biddy's extremely southern parents. Mom is a master homemaker who obviously passed on her love of baking to her son. She's her son's biggest cheerleader and one of his best friends. She's also middle-aged woman horny for hockey players, which is totally fair and normal. Coach is your typical emotionally complicated white dad.
Yeah.
He coached high school football and is happiest when talking sports. He's developing an interest in hockey and does support Biddy, but, you know, it's a
work in progress.
Yeah. Especially with a flamboyant ass kid, it's obviously complicated, to say the least.
Yeah.
Bad Bob Zimmerman is a fucking hockey legend, Jack's dad, and the obvious source of Jack's daddy issues. He's actually a really normal dude who's more than a little worried about his son's mental health. He's super encouraging and laid back, and tends to pass that energy on to everybody. He's also a huge ally to queer people. He's absolutely delighted by Biddy, and is happy to see him and Jack work together. You could put quotations around that also, but he does appreciate their time on the ice. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's Kent Parson, or Parse. He is a pro hockey player and Jack's ex-situationship. He's cool enough to hang out with, but his history with Jack is complicated and doesn't reflect well on him. He has stuff going on also, but it's okay not to like him. And then I just have Chowder on here because, again, I just love Chowder.
Yeah, because Chowder is not important enough to put in this moment. You could have put anyone else.
No, I literally could have put anyone else here, but Chowder's just really cute, and like Biddy calls him like his precious son or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, and I feel the same way. But whatever.
Yeah, Chowder is very wholesome, and he's just an all around good guy. He's a great goalie.
Yeah.
Dumb himbo.
And there are a ton of other side characters who all get their own little moments, including Chowder, and you will likely pick a favorite, but ain't no way I can cover all of them without things getting confusing. So like, just give this comic a read or consult the wiki.
Yeah.
Like, I mentioned Tater earlier, and I'm in love with Tater as well. Like, you'll just, yeah.
Yeah,
you'll
because
figure
there's
it
like,
out.
there's Nursey, there's Dexter, there's like Ollie, there's these other characters.
Tango and Whiskey, and yeah.
Yeah, and there's like, I think it's Whiskey that has an important moment with Biddy, right?
Yeah, but it happens so fucking late.
It happened, it's like it's one of the ending issues.
Oh.
So, to get to the rest of this, it's too important to not talk about how this comic came to be before we get like further into why it's good. Because initially this comic was actually a complicated and upsetting screenplay about a gay man navigating his life as a hockey player circa the early 2000s, which then became a handful of doodles presented as like a what if that hockey player was actually like an ex-ice skater with a good attitude, and then to what we have now. And it was stated by the author herself that like this screenplay that she had written was very depressing, dealt with substance abuse, dealt with, you know, homophobia and like locker room issues and all that sort of stuff. So it was very intense. And then she kind of thought like, oh, what if what if this guy was doing it? And then it just kind of kept spiraling out of control.
Mm-hmm. This became her big college project too.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the screenplay, and then she had like a thesis going, and then it kept going after that. So it's now a full comic that spreads across digital and print and 2 different social media sites. And I cannot express how real it is for a good artist to draft something incredibly heart-wrenching and then think, what if this wasn't so miserable? And then play themselves into creating a masterpiece.
Yeah, I think it's really nice that they toned it down, because they have another series out right now. And with that series, you can tell how emotional they can get. They're a very strong writer.
Mm-hmm. This is also a comic that launched 1,000 ships. I never read this when it was being actively posted, but I definitely saw the aftershocks. So many Tumblr projects took inspiration from the way that Check Please was delivered. So, like, obviously, ass blogs were a thing before this comic.
Oh, yeah, I did one.
But the ass blogs built around people's OCs started popping up in droves after this, often for stories that would never be created. Because that is one of the things she is very active in doing, is she would post the comic, and then she'd allow people to ask questions, and then she would draw her characters answering the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of the blueprint for how that spawned so many different like side tumblers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It also actually launched 1,000 ships, as in relationships, because Ngozi consistently fostered an active and respectful fan community. She would draw her own fan art and regularly encourage others to do the same, no matter who was smooching who. So crack ships were totally kosher.
Yeah, she had a lot of ships that she liked herself that fans came up with, and she's like, yeah, I like that too. And she's like, I'm keeping this realistic here. So like, yes, we have some boys in here who are gay, but she's like, I couldn't like make everyone gay. Admittedly, there's a lot of characters that click really nicely together.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, I really was just trying to make it like we have this small blip of a few gay characters inside this comic.
Mm-hmm. And Ngozi herself is quoted saying that she views herself as more of a fan of her work rather than the creator, and backs it up in her blog post where she talks about the gradual creation of each character. They just kind of ran away from her and decided their own stories over time.
Many such cases.
Yeah, many artists, authors, creatives find this happening to them, but it hit her especially hard.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that she threw this comic together while pursuing a master's degree in sequential art, which is incredibly obvious because, goddamn, some of the panels are truly exquisite examples of impactful storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a testament to how much she loved making Check Please and how much the fans felt the same, because an art master's is no joke, but she made time to pour that love into every page and into all the extra art that she made in between all this shit.
I had to give this a quick look through because I was actually there when this thing was blowing up. I was attached to it. I didn't know about it until she was just about to wrap up. Because I was like there on ground floor, like I was like really having to check myself as I was looking at the book. So I was like, okay, what do I have that is actual lore and what is fan lore? Because fan lore and actual lore did really get mixed up. And because Ngozi was so like interactive with her fandom, she even like there were times where she even like was like, yeah, you know what? I accept this as real lore. Like this is what happened, you know? I think that's fun when an author plays with their audience like that, but it's also like props to you because you are definitely like letting this universe grow huge. And it was a big thing.
So it's really special what she did, but also I feel like an author today couldn't do the same thing without getting their shit ripped to shreds.
Absolutely not.
This might be the only time this happens like that.
Yeah.
Like I was telling Chuck, like last week I reread Captive Prince, like the trilogy. We were talking about the fandom and stuff, but like I had that same experience of like I have a very specific memory that I can't remember if it was in the books or if it was like fic that I read at some point like 7 years ago, and I just don't remember because it's so like deeply ingrained, and it turned out that it was kind of like both things, which was nice.
Yeah.
But because I had binge read like the entire ship tag afterwards of like this one particular ship in the book, I couldn't remember where it came from. So it's very, felt understood.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same with me in this series because there's two characters that I've brought up a couple times now, Nursey and Dexter, and they are the defense team that take after like Roster and Wholesome. But they Holster and Rossum, god damn it.
It's fine.
I keep doing it. But like
they would like that.
They would, because they screw up their own names on purpose in the comic too, which did not help me, who does it on accident all the time. But like Nursey and Dexter were like, a lot of people wanted them to get together. Like they were the big shit people wanted to get together. And it's one of those that even the author likes, but she's just like, you can't have it all. This is supposed to be like a semi-realistic comic with like the tries and tribulations of being gay in the skating community. There's so many good background stories that all got their own like branching lore from the fandom. It was intense. So I like really had to like even before we got on, I skimmed this comic again to make sure I wasn't gonna like bring something that was made up by fandom because there's a lot that was made up by fandom.
Ngozi's point of view is also a blessing because as someone who very occasionally hockeys, I needed help as an outsider to understand what the fuck was going on. But she was an outsider too once and whooped herself into becoming a fan by doing too much research. I feel that I may or may not start seeing games next season. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Oh yeah. We gotta get you to college games or AHL games because I think you'll have fun. They are very fun.
And then speaking on her point of view, let's get into what took this from a fun and engaging indie comic to an award-winning masterpiece. The purpose, overall, was to examine the juxtaposition of hockey being simultaneously one of the queerest and most homophobic sports and what it would look like for a gay character to navigate that. Which is to say this comic has a thesis. But the intent was also for this to not be a doom and gloom look at what hockey had to offer all the way back in 2013, but an optimistic take on what it could be.
Yes.
Watching Bitty navigate a world that was historically off limits to him is overall pretty empowering. But it's also awkward, silly, and nerve-wracking in ways you wouldn't expect. He waits months to tell anyone about him and his sexuality on one of the gayest campuses in America, which is one, too real, because coming out is not easy, even under the best conditions, but two, is a testament to his peers' refusal to judge him. No straight man loves Beyoncé that much, but no one seemed to notice or care until he announced himself. And that's how real life is like sometimes. You'll never know where you'll find allies or enemies until you've made yourself known. That's consistently reinforced in Check Please, not just from Biddy's point of view either. It's also a part of Jack's journey as our bisexual king entering into the NHL. It's one thing to be accepted by the queers collegiate hockey team in the Northeast, and another to be exposed to, let's say, the Florida Panthers. The process of coming out is treated as complicated as it actually is in real life, and it is shown as a journey rather than a single life-defining event.
Yeah, oof. The coming out moment with Bitty, because he has to come out twice. He comes out once to his friends,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's got to come out to his family. And that one's hard.
Mm-hmm.
That is like emotionally hitting.
Mm-hmm. Growth is interwoven into every part of this comic, even for the most minor of side characters. No one stays static, and everyone's got an opportunity to learn something. Jack is the poster child for figuring his shit out, considering the metric fuck ton of daddy issues and the terrific amount of anxiety in his body. But you have to appreciate that he doesn't just fix his shit overnight. He's past his rock bottom and is technically 2 years into his journey to reconfigure his life, but he's still struggling. That Biddy's involvement in his life helps faster facilitate his change for the better is both cool and appealing to the sports fan and all of us, but also stupid romantic to the Fujoshi in our hearts.
Yeah, the Fujoshi in our hearts is like, we love seeing them fall in love and both of them become better people through that love.
Well, it's also, I watched a weird amount of sports or competition anime, and they always have like, oh, we're just boys, and we just happen to really both be really into this sport or card game that we're playing, and we're just so passionate about it, and we're growing closer as friends, and I would do anything for you, bro. And then they don't kiss.
Yu-Gi-Oh moment. It didn't get past me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Check Please says, what if they did kiss? Here you go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I want them to grow better at the sport and then grow together and then touch tips.
And then since Ngozi considers herself a fan more than a creator, she did sell not safe for work content of them later. She had small zine compilations where she worked on it and some other friends worked on it of like adventures between the boys. So like there's extras that you could purchase from her website that have all the good bits, like, you know, the sex scenes and the like, do they do this? Do they do that? It's awesome. Awesome stuff.
I was gonna ask.
But you just really appreciate the depth of a man who's simultaneously a great captain, great player, emotionally constipated, deeply afraid of failure, and kind of stupid. I love a man that can do so much, but is also a little bit stupid.
Jack?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Biddy's journey aligns a lot more with what you'd see the stereotypical sports anime protag, but the magic is in him being the spiritual opposite of that character. He does learn to rely more on his team, he does overcome his fears on the ice, and the real journey was the friends he made along the way, but it's also him discovering his own importance and developing confidence through uncertainty. Biddy spends so much of the comic following an icon and ends up becoming one himself, which is pretty sick. It's also nice to see that his passions are never thrown away in the pursuit of change. He still bakes pies too goddamn much, no matter what happens.
Yes. It's very funny. There's a lot of gag scenes of his friends banning him from the kitchen because instead of studying, he would rather make a pie.
Which, yeah, girl, me too.
That's a stress response.
And they get on him for it. They're like, we need you to pass your classes, Bitty. You cannot make baked goods. So stop cooking. It's so funny.
Do not let him cook.
Yes. Which is to say, Throughout all this concrete growth and change and complicated characters, this comic retains its goofiness. The fact that Biddy can manifest a pie if he's within 3 feet of an oven is a consistent gag, but fourth wall breaking shows up a lot too, and the characters themselves are consistently the silliest little guys you'd find in a frat house. And you're thankful for that when you're suddenly fist deep in maybe it's impossible to recapture the joy of our youth because society has forcibly changed us for the worst. Because also, no matter how progressive most of the characters are, they're not a monolith, and there are plenty of randos who can't tell the difference between competitive chirping and borderline hate crime.
Yes, it gets very intense towards the end. Like intense as this comic can go. I'm
Yes.
not saying there's like, American X level drama in this.
Yeah, nobody gets almost murdered or something like that.
Getting curb stomped on the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to that point, but
It's clearly like we're getting glimpses of the terrible shit that's happening.
Mm-hmm. It's also important to note that the book version of this comic was released in 2018, 3 years after the legalization of same-sex marriage in America, and during a time when hockey teams were seriously overhauling their culture. Some of them. Not, I mean, obviously, Florida Panthers were not.
But
it's not even just that it's Florida. There is unfortunately so the NHL is always like, how do we get new people into hockey?
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time let their players just be like just off the fucking wall, homophobic, racist, like nasty. I don't want to participate in the X night because I'm a Christian and it goes against my religion to support the sins of homosexuals and like that kind of bullshit. And it's like, we're Russian and we'll get in trouble. And it's like, bro, you're gonna get in trouble just for being here.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm over listening to it. They're just using it as an excuse to be fucking close-minded pieces of shit, and it's like, it's 2025, let's get over it.
And then it's also the juxtaposition between these dudes being absolute chuckle fuck chuds, and then like I don't even know what Team Gritty represents. I just know Gritty.
Flyers, Philly.
Okay, so the Philly Flyers. Yeah. Okay, so all I know about Gritty is being the most giant ally monster that he can possibly be. And they're always doing something that is just very like progressive. And that seems to be imbued in the whole team and whatever. So Gritty would not have existed in the same capacity when this comic was getting started. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so this comic was originally built on anticipatory changes and hope, but can now be seen as both prophetic and as a time capsule to a very specific era. Because I definitely had to look back and check. They talk about gay marriage, and I was like, was that legal then? And I was like, not when this fucker started, but by the time it finished, hello, let's go.
Because they talk about it, and they talk about, like, can it happen for us, and all that stuff.
So it really is like a good snapshot of that period between 2013 and like 2017.
Yeah.
So ultimately, Check Please is a coming of age story mixed with a coming out story, mixed with a sports story, all smushed together and glazed in a layer of silliness and joy. It is a testament to the scope and the power of comics as a medium, and it captivates because it manages to acknowledge the real and harrowing struggles of young adulthood without diminishing the importance of having hopes and chasing your dreams. It's a full-throated declaration that actually we can do better and we will do better, and fuck you for trying to stop us. And, most importantly, that kindness, whether delivered through a hug or a hot baked good, is strength.
Yeah, it's so good. I love this comic so much.
So, if you want to finally get in on the hype and have a silly, hockey-fueled, and surprisingly emotional bro moment, Check Please is for you. It contains cursing, mild violence, because hockey, homophobia, substance abuse, mentions of suicide, daddy issues, plural, gratuitous alcohol consumption, bullying, frat behavior, a single mention of cheating, and hockey bros.
Cheating?
Yeah, it happens way later. Nobody of the main cast cheats, but it gets mentioned later And for some people, that is like a mega trigger for them even mentioning it. So just letting folks know, it gets mentioned. It's not like a main plot point.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
You can read it for free at checkpleasecomic.com or with blog posts, annotations, and tweets on omgcheckplease.tumblr.com. You can also buy the physical copies at your local bookstore or from the Check Please store. I'd personally recommend the books since there are some special extras. Or you can buy the bullet and read the whole thing on Tumblr and get all of the extra information, behind the scenes, blog posts, everything about it.
Mm-hmm. There's so much.
Mm-hmm. But it'll take you a while.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what it's time for, Lemon?
What?
It's your whole rating time.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
You get to give the
Oh,
whole
no.
rating.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck. Well,
Pop quiz.
I haven't read any of it, so it's hard to... I feel like I'm not allowed to give a...
Well, that's the point. Is like, that's why I give a rating. Yeah, because I give a rating on comics I've never read. So the point is, based on what you've heard, what are you feeling?
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to get mad at you.
What's the scale?
1 to 10 holes.
What's the scale? 1 to 10 holes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 1 being nah, and 10 being like, oh my god, I must read this.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like a 7, like a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, all right, awesome.
Only because I am currently reading, well, the author of Golden Kamuy is currently on his next series, which is about hockey.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah. Very, like, called Dogs Red. It's finally being released in English. It's not BL. It's really fucking funny so far.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, because Golden Kamuy is so fucking amazing, my standards are so extremely, like, impossibly high when it comes to hockey anyway, but he is so goddamn funny that, like, that is, like, currently sitting as, like, as close to a gold standard for what I could have wanted from a hockey comic in my brain. If it's even a little bit as gay as Golden Kamuy not really accidentally is, like, what else could I ask for? I feel like maybe if I read this, I would be more inclined to up my rating because I know that you both really love it. I don't know if I could make it through the art style, if I'm being really honest, because I'm really picky.
It's a very Western art style, honestly.
It is. It's specific. And I usually don't like that. That's why I have to take some holes off, but that's just completely subjective on my side.
I do get where you're coming from. 6 or 7 out of 10 makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
Especially because you are so hockey pilled. I'm fine. Yeah. I will accept 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And also knowing that there's a mass hole, I'm like, if it's not really true to form, I can't get behind it.
Fair. Also fair.
You better be so authentic or I'm going to be like,
I get it.
What you think.
I will say, like, the Southern character was very authentic. And I don't know if the mass hole's authentic, but he was a shock to my system reading him. Because I was like, dear God.
Well, if you want more from Ngozi, you are in great luck because, again, the Tumblr is filled with more Check Please content, and she still releases extra comics via itch.io. You can find her on Bluesky at NGOZIU or at her website, which is the same, but .com. She also still has her Tumblr, which is under the same name as well, so, like, she's everywhere. She's released 2 other standalone print comics, though neither are in the BL sphere. Bunt, striking out on financial aid, and Barda from DC Comics. And another comic is on the way called Flip, which involves body swapping and between like a young lady and a young man. And also she's got a feature in this year's DC Pride, and she's working on something new right now too, and then another new comic's coming out from DC next year. So Homegirl is busy, and you will likely find something else that you'll like or want to be interested in. So yeah. And Lemon, where do you want to be found? If you want to be found.
I have a Bluesky that I look at it like twice a week. You can find me at Bucci, B as in boy, UCCHI at Bluesky. I'm also Mokuba on Tumblr still. You can find me there too, retweeting shit posts.
Hell yeah.
Yep, been there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to talk about it.
Need more hole? You can find us on Bluesky and Tumblr, both at hole-chat, where our DMs are wide open. Bussy inquiries should be sent to hole.chat.69@gmail.com. And no matter where you're listening, don't be afraid to drop a comment, give us a like, tell your friends, tell your dad, or tell your local queer-friendly hockey bro. We'd appreciate it. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening, and tighten up.
Tighten up.